MyHR as a HR assistant for 2 years. No one lets me shadow them. Please may you go over the disciplinary process and poor performance. So this is too much to go over in one video, so I'm going to do the disciplinary process first. And ACAS is a great place to start because they are the ones that set the guidelines for what you do in a disciplinary process. The first thing that you would always do is try and deal with this informally first. Your disciplinary process is always the last thing that you would resort to. This is exactly what ACAS recommends. So you would use the disciplinary process for unacceptable or improper behaviour, otherwise known as misconduct, or performance or capability, whatever your organisation calls it. Generally, within your disciplinary procedure, you would have some examples of what misconduct looks like. This is some of the examples that ACAS gives. And this is your more serious gross misconduct type of behaviour. And my rule in disciplinaries is that process is king, or queen, or whatever you want it to be, but just follow it. So you always deal with things promptly, you definitely always act consistently, you always make sure that you gather all of the facts. And you would notify the employee in writing and you give them as much information as you possibly can. Because in the disciplinary meeting, that's their opportunity to give their side of the events. There are minimum things that you need to include in the notification, such as their right to be accompanied, losing a date and time that isn't too soon but isn't too far away. You always make sure that you've planned enough time, as these meetings can go on for quite a long time. And often in disciplinaries, you can end up adjourning meetings to have a break, or you can end up adjourning meetings and coming back in a week or two's time when you need to do more investigation, depending on what the person has said. You've obviously got a range of options as to what can happen. You can not do anything. You can say, okay, fine, like these are the things that we have found. There's nothing more to be done. Or you can go anything from a written warning to dismissing somebody. And unless you're taking no action, the employee always has a right to appeal. So you would notify them of the outcome of the meeting and then say that they have a right to appeal. And then the appeal would always be dealt with someone that hasn't been involved in that process. When you're deciding on those decisions, you always need to be mindful of any other cases that have happened in the workplace and any precedents that have been set, because you can't have one rule for one and one rule for another, because as we remember previously, you need to be completely impartial. And you also can't do anything that isn't outlined in your disciplinary process. So you can't dismiss someone for gross misconduct if that's only defined as misconduct in your policy, unless there's a real exceptional circumstance. You may also want to consider during the process whether it's appropriate to suspend someone pending the investigation, and that can be done with or without pay. So that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour on disciplinaries, but I hope it helps.